Greetings, health, and happiness to you. I'm Skol, and today we're going to talk about the Boker Kalashnikov. And as you can see, I've got two of them. If you saw my video about side opening automatics, I mentioned that I didn't have a Kalashnikov yet, and around Christmas I'll be on the lookout for it. Planning on my Christmas list to get a Kalashnikov, and as you can see, I got two during the Christmas season. And we're going to have a tabletop review of both versions, so you'll get a 2-for-1 today. It comes in a box that's shaped like the magazine for a AK-47, or actually on the blade it says Automat Kalashnikov 74, so there was a follow-on version to the AK-47 called the AK-74. So I guess these are named after the newer version. The reason it's curved is their bullets are bigger and they're fatter in the back. So as you stack them, it naturally causes it to curve. So the Russian magazines are curved compared to the standard American magazines that are less curved. I got these at BladeHQ. I also saw a video recently about top selling knives for 2025 at BladeHQ top 10 list, and their number one top selling model is the Boker Kalashnikov. So this is like their franchise quarterback, even after all these years, their top selling model at BladeHQ. And part of the reason for the longevity is they've also done some interesting color gimmicks, I guess. So like this one is meant to be Stormtrooper colors. It's called the Imperial, with like Imperial Stormtrooper, black and white. And then they've got some other ones with like a red blade to be like a red lightsaber. They also have some other gimmicks for like one's colored like a sprinkled donut called the Desert Warrior. And then they've got one that looks like a corn cob and it flips out and it looks like a corn on the cob. And they have another one called the Wiener Warrior. And that one looks like a hot dog bun and you flip it out and it's like the hot dog flips out and it's got a squiggle of mustard. So with those gimmicks, they're keeping the Kalashnikov sales are still number one over at BladeHQ. Another thing to keep in mind if you're planning on buying a Kalashnikov is they all don't come automatic. If you read, go click on any Kalashnikov on the BladeHQ website and scroll down to the bottom, read the asterisks. It says these have been third-party modified, so I guess these are shipped by Boker as not automatic springs, but they take them apart, put the spring in, modify it, so when they sell them on BladeHQ, they're all automatic and they've been modified. But you can go to other websites, and even though it still says Automat, it's not automatic. So I know over at Knife Center, I was looking at what they had there, and they try to make it pretty clear in their description, so make sure and read the description that at Knife Center it's not automatic. Maybe you can do that mod yourself, but I guess these need to be modded to turn them into automatics. So if they're not automatic with the spring that takes it out, I guess it's just a normal plunge lock, plunge button lock. That would be kind of weird if it was not automatic, because I've only ever seen them as automatics. But some places have laws, so I guess if you want this knife and you're in a place where it's illegal to have a switchblade, you can still get this knife without the spring. And if you do want to get the automatic, just make sure and check your local knife laws. I know the laws have been getting better. I'm in Ohio. Switchblades are legal to have, legal to carry, so I'm good. Go check your local knife laws and figure out what you're able to have there. And I hope things keep getting better, because more and more places they're getting rid of those old switchblade laws. It's kind of ridiculous that these are illegal anywhere just because it springs open. Anyway, that's something to keep in mind. Make sure you're getting the one that you can, and the one that you intended that you wanted to get. Also, there's a varying. I'll talk about the pocket clip. Look at that long, squiggly pocket clip. And then this one came with a shorter one. And then there was a deal running when I got it at BladeHQ. Buy a Kalashnikov and get a free pocket clip titanium. So I'm not sure if I'll put that on there. One thing about these firing automatics is I tend to put my fingers and get a grip there, so when it kicks, that kind of holds it in there. So I kind of brace my fingers against the pocket clip, and that holds it nice and steady when I fire it open. And both of these have a good spring that takes it all the way out. If you saw my side opening auto, that is important. It's got to have spring tension all the way to the end so that it locks 100% of the time. And here you go. Spring tension's all the way to the end, so that makes sure it locks every time. So now let's jump into the tabletop. We talked about the spring. We talked about the pocket clip variations. Let's get some tabletop measurements. Here, this is a Wharncliffe. That's my favorite blade shape, so I was going for this one first. The price, normal prices are around $60, so these are in the budget realm, but you can catch them on sales for less. And the reason I got a second one is because this was just too good of a deal. I caught it on a sale, so I got the Stormtrooper one. Anyway, here we are up to the measurements. 3.5 inch blade and 3 1/4 inch cutting edge. And you got a 4 1/4 inch handle, and your overall length 7.5 inches. So this is in the, let's do the other one real quick. The handles are exactly the same except for the pocket clips. So we'll just do the blade, but the blade measurements are also the same, 3.5, and for blade length, and 3 1/4 for cutting edge. The handles are in the sweet spot. I wear large size gloves, and this fits good for me, right in the sweet spot for size. It also has scallops, for one for each finger, so that locks in nice. It's got a little bit of jimping on top here, a little bit of jimping that extends onto the top of the blade, and a little bit of jimping around the back. And it's got these little dimple ridges and these prominent lines, so you get some additional traction. And they're both the same. You see that little dimple texture molded in, and jimping around the back, jimping a little bit onto the blade, and a little bit of an extra finger guard at the front. This one's D2. You see D2. Automat Kalashnikov 74 Boker. And this one is also D2. One thing about D2 that I've decided lately, because D2 is only 4.5 out of 10 for corrosion resistance. Although I've carried a lot of silver uncoated, I did get a spot here and there on a couple of rust, but I've decided just take care. D2 is fine for a budget blade, and if you coat it, its weak spot is the corrosion resistance, but if it's coated, then you're good. So D2 coated, that's becoming my new preference. So I like that. And let's get a blade thickness. I already pre-measured these. They're like right in the sweet spot for EDC blade thickness, normal blade thickness. So back here at its thickest point, we're getting 1.25, and a little bit further down, 1.19. So 1.12 inches is a very standard average size for a EDC. I think I'm getting the same on here, 0.118. And then because this is a dagger shape, it thins out here on the top a little bit, but it's not sharp on the outside edge. Would you call that a dagger shape or a spear point? I think it's a spear point. And Wharncliffe keeps the thickness all the way out. Thickness of the spine goes all the way out up to the leading edge. There's also a little bit of a slight little bit of a curve, almost like a clip. And the blade looks pretty straight, maybe the slightest little bit up at the end, just barely. And then got 3 standoffs in there. 1, 2, 3, so that's nice and sturdy. And let's see, looks like the pocket clip is reversible. Or no, not reversible. Looks like there's a cutout. There's a cutout where the pocket clip fits. And I don't see the cutout on this side, so I don't think it's going to be reversible. And let's check the other one. So these are right hand. Yep, looks like that to me. On this one as well. And let's get a weight. 3.6 ounces. 3.55 on that one. So that's kind of in the sweet spot for weight. Everything is pretty standard size, upper end of the sweet spot for EDC. But these fire really nice. They hold ergonomically very nice. It's side opening autos are always fun and fidgety. You can do that over and over. So these are fun to have. And also I wanted to retell the story that BladeHQ has told. I've seen on their videos a few times. They have a guy in their shipping receiving department that they receive boxes of new knives, and he's been using a Kalashnikov for like over 10 years. And so he opens every box that comes into BladeHQ with the Kalashnikov, and over the years he's resharpened it over and over, and the blade has been recessed because of being sharpened over and over. Every time you sharpen, you'll remove some material. So long, heavy use, he's sharpened it way up, so it's starting to look like a thin nub, but he's still using it. And the point of that is that it's a durable, reliable, good knife that can be used heavily for 10 years and still keep going. So that's a good positive story for the Kalashnikov. Reliable over the long term, tough and durable, and his is still firing, still usable, and it's been resharpened a whole bunch and still usable. So that is the Boker Kalashnikov. If you want the spring-loaded, go to BladeHQ. I think you can get spring-loaded at some other places, but I recommend BladeHQ. And thanks for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed the video. Go get you a Kalashnikov if you don't have one. Go get one of those funny corn cob ones. Take it to a picnic if you're interested in that. And go check out my other videos at Skol EDC. And remember, always carry a knife.